Sophia arranged the peonies with precision, her fingers working methodically as they had thousands of times before. This bouquet was special for their 10th anniversary dinner at Canlis, Seattle's most elegant restaurant overlooking Lake Union. 10 years with Ethan deserved more than just roses. She tucked in sprigs of lavender, remembering how he'd once said it reminded him of their first vacation together. The restaurant's panoramic windows reflected the sunset as they clinked champagne glasses. Ethan's smile seemed genuine, even as he checked his phone for the fifth time. "To us," he said, his eyes briefly meeting hers before darting away. When Ethan excused himself to take a call, Sophia noticed his phone on the table. The screen lit up with a text notification. "Tonight you'll leave her baby. Can't wait." From Chloe. The carefully arranged peonies suddenly felt like a funeral arrangement. Sophia's hand trembled slightly, but her face remained composed when Ethan returned. She took a deliberate sip of champagne, memories flooding back Ethan's late nights at work. The new cologne he'd started wearing, the hushed phone calls, all the signs had been there hanging like unwatered plants. "Everything okay?" Ethan asked, tucking his phone away. "Perfect," Sophia replied, her smile not reaching her eyes. $300 she'd spent on this bouquet. Hours perfecting each stem's placement, the lavender that reminded her of Napa Valley, the peonies that symbolized prosperity and a happy marriage. All this effort for a man who couldn't even wait until after their anniversary dinner to plan his exit. As Ethan launched into a rehearsed speech about their decade together, Sophia's mind drifted to the signs she'd ignored, the mysterious credit card charges, the sudden work trips that left no room for her to join. The way his phone was always face down, and now that text from Chloe, the marketing assistant from his bank, who once visited their home and couldn't tell a daisy from a rose. 10 years and you chose Chloe, who calls daisies roses. Amateur, she thought, cutting into her salmon with surprising steadiness. They'd met when Sophia was working at a neighborhood flower shop. Ethan had come in to buy flowers for his mother's birthday, charming her with his confidence and the way he actually asked questions about the flowers instead of grabbing the nearest bouquet. He pursued her with the assurance of a future banking superstar, as he called himself, taking her to restaurants where he knew the waiters by name. The early years had been good weekend trips to coastal towns, Ethan proudly introducing her at office parties, but something shifted after his second promotion. He began treating her flower work as a cute hobby, not the passion it truly was. "How was your day playing with flowers?" he'd ask while she arranged complex wedding installations. Did the housewives love their centerpieces? His condescension grew with his salary. What Ethan didn't know, what she'd carefully kept from him, was that 5 years ago, Sophia had launched Bloom Vibe, an online floral business that specialized in subscription services and corporate accounts. She'd started it from their spare bedroom while he dismissed her dreams. Now it operated from a warehouse across town, employed 11 people, and was valued at $3 million. She'd kept it secret because every time she mentioned expansion, Ethan would laugh. "Babe, leave the business stuff to me. You just focus on making pretty things." She kept separate accounts, separate emails, and built her empire in silence, wondering when she'd find the courage to tell him. Now she wondered if she'd ever needed to. Later that night, as Ethan's soft snores filled their bedroom, Sophia stared at the ceiling and thought about how they'd changed. When they first met, he'd seemed genuinely impressed by her knowledge of flowers and their meanings. He'd listen intently as she explained the difference between Peruvian lilies and true lilies, or why certain arrangements complemented specific occasions. After the wedding, she'd become part of his success story, the pretty wife with the quaint flower shop. At dinner parties, he'd interrupt her when she spoke about her business aspirations. "My wife has such cute ideas," he'd say with that condescending smile, "but she doesn't understand profit margins or scalability." Little did he know that while he was dismissing her cute ideas, she was building a business model that outperformed his bank's growth. 3 years running, Bloom Vibe had started as a simple website offering curated arrangements delivered weekly to homes and offices. Now they had contracts with 5 major hotel chains and 3 tech companies that wanted fresh flowers in their lobbies. Last quarter alone, they'd expanded into wedding packages that brought in 6 figures. Sophia turned on her side, watching Ethan's profile in the dark. Had he ever really seen her? Or had she just been another acquisition? Like his German car and designer watches, symbols of the successful life he believed he deserved. The morning after their anniversary dinner, Sophia checked her business email over coffee. Her system security alert showed 5 failed login attempts on her Bloom Vibe administrative account. all from the same IP address, their home network, while she'd been at the flower shop yesterday. She called Miguel, her shop assistant, who moonlighted as an amateur security expert. "I need you to check something for me," discreetly. 2 hours later, Miguel showed her the evidence. Not only had Ethan been trying to access her business accounts, but he and Chloe had exchanged emails discussing how to transfer Bloom Vibe shares to Chloe's name once Ethan made his move. They assumed Sophia would be too devastated by the divorce to notice. "Boss, your husband's hacking skills are worse than someone using password 123, Miguel said, showing her the clumsy digital footprints Ethan had left. Sophia leaned back in her chair, a strange calm settling over her. "So, he's not just cheating, he's trying to steal my company." "What are you going to do?" Miguel asked. Sophia's lips curved into a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I'm going to play along. Let them think I'm clueless." She twirled a stem between her fingers. "Do you know the language of flowers?" Miguel read dahlias symbolize betrayal and dishonesty. "I think it's time to arrange a very special bouquet for my husband." Miguel scrolled through more emails, his dark eyebrows furrowing deeper with each message. "This goes back months, Sophia. Look at this one from February. Chloe's asking about your company structure, whether you have investors." He turned the screen toward her. "And here's Ethan's reply. She handles everything herself. No board, no investors to answer to clean takeover potential." Sophia felt sick. February, that was when Ethan had surprised her with a weekend getaway, supposedly to reconnect. Now she realized he'd been pumping her for information between champagne and hotel sex. "Can you access their future communications?" She asked Miguel, a plan already forming. "I can set up alerts for specific keywords in emails sent from your home network," Miguel replied, fingers flying across the keyboard. "And maybe a keylogger on your home computer." The old Sophia would have balked at such invasion of privacy, but the old Sophia hadn't discovered her husband plotting to steal her life's work. "Do it," she said, standing up and straightening her shoulders. "Also pull together all our financial projections and client contracts. And if anyone from Ethan's bank calls asking about Bloom Vibe, direct them to me." Miguel looked up at her with newfound respect. "What about the police?" "Not yet," Sophia said, checking her watch. "First, I want to understand exactly what they're planning. Then we'll decide who else needs to know." Sophia called Lila her best friend and a stand-up comedian with connections throughout Seattle's media scene. "I need to throw a party, a coming-out party, you could say. Should we call it celebrating the first affair?" Lila joked, but quickly turned serious when Sophia explained the plan. Over the next week, Sophia prepared for a special event at her flower shop, officially billed as the launch of a secret project she'd been working on. She invited local business reporters, customers, and of course, Ethan and his colleagues, including Chloe. In the shop, Sophia created a special display, 12 arrangements positioned strategically around the room. To anyone else, they were simply beautiful flowers. To Sophia, each arrangement encoded financial information about Bloom Vibe, the number of blooms representing profit margins, the varieties symbolizing key accounts, the colors matching growth projections, her own secret language hidden in plain sight. At home, Ethan continued his charade, bringing her a cheap bracelet one evening. "Just because," he said, kissing her cheek. She accepted it with a practiced smile, noticing how he checked his watch, probably calculating how many more days he needed to keep up the act. "You've been working so hard lately," she said, watching his face carefully. "That promotion must be coming soon." "Yeah, I think so," he replied, the lie slipping easily from his lips. There was no promotion, just Chloe and a plan to cash in on Sophia's hard work. Sophia nodded and excused herself to call Miguel. "Everything's in place," she whispered. "The thorns are sharpened." Lila visited the shop the next day, examining the coded arrangements with admiration. "This is some serious, beautiful mind stuff. Soph, you've turned flowers into financial statements." "Only I can decode them," Sophia replied, adjusting a spray of ranunculus. "This yellow cluster represents our subscription revenue growth, 38% last quarter. These blue hydrangeas symbolize our corporate clients. Each bloom is a different company. And regular Joe reporter will just see pretty flowers." Lila marveled. "I've secured 3 business journalists and a lifestyle blogger. Plus, I called in a favor with Catherine Chen from Seattle Business Monthly." Sophia's eyes widened. "She profiles rising entrepreneurs." "Exactly. And wait until she hears about the female founder whose banker husband tried to steal her multi-million-dollar company." Lila squeezed Sophia's arm. This won't just be revenge, honey. This will be your coming out party as the businesswoman you've always been. That evening, Ethan texted that he'd be home late. Sophia replied with a simple okay, while finalizing the presentation for her event. On her screen, she'd arranged screenshots of Ethan's hacking attempts alongside the emails between him and Chloe. The evidence was damning revealing, not just their affair, but their calculated plan to exploit her vulnerability. During divorce proceedings, she hesitated, finger hovering over the folder containing their wedding photos. 10 years together. Was she really ready to blow it all up? Then she remembered Ethan's dismissive laugh when she'd once mentioned expanding her business. Stick to what you know, babe. Let the professionals handle the real business. Her resolve hardened as she clicked through final preparations for the event that would change everything. The flower shop glowed with ambient lighting, each strategic arrangement highlighted perfectly. Journalists mingled with regular customers sipping champagne as they waited for Sophia's announcement. Ethan stood near the front, Chloe several feet away, pretending they barely knew each other. Before stepping onto the platform, Sophia placed a special bouquet on the podium, a striking arrangement of red dahlias, yellow marigolds, and white carnations. The vivid colors drew curious glances. Ethan approached, straightening his tie. Quite the turnout for your little project announcement, he said, his voice laced with condescension. Good thing you have my banking connections. That's what really matters in business. Sophia smiled. You're right, connections are everything. She stepped onto the small platform wearing a dress the color of forget-me-nots. Thank you all for coming, she began. Some of you know me as the owner of this little flower shop. But today I'm introducing you to my other business. The projector behind her lit up with the Bloom Vibe logo. For 5 years, I've been building an online floral empire that now serves clients in 3 states, employs 11 people, and as of last week's valuation is worth $3 million. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Ethan's champagne glass froze halfway to his mouth. I've kept it quiet because I believe actions speak louder than words. She clicked to the next slide, screenshots of the failed login attempts, emails between Ethan and Chloe, their entire scheme exposed in high definition. I also believe in honesty. So imagine my surprise when I discovered that not only was my husband planning to leave me, she looked directly at Ethan, whose face had drained of color, but he and his accomplice were planning to somehow gain control of my company in the process. The room fell silent. Chloe made a move toward the door, but Sophia wasn't finished. But the most disturbing discovery wasn't just about my husband and Miss Daniels. Sophia clicked to another slide showing connections between multiple companies and individuals. My investigation has uncovered evidence of a larger network targeting female entrepreneurs across the Pacific Northwest, a systematic operation to identify successful women-owned businesses and deploy people to infiltrate their lives. Murmurs spread through the crowd. A business reporter stood up. Are you saying this is organized fraud? The evidence suggests exactly that, Sophia replied, pointing to the bouquet on her podium. Before I continue, let me explain this special arrangement I've prepared. In the language of flowers, red dahlias symbolize betrayal and dishonesty. She lifted one bloom. Yellow marigolds represent grief and pain. Another flower and white carnations. She looked directly at Ethan. They symbolize pure deception. Ethan stepped forward, stuttering. Sophia, this is ridiculous. Is it? She clicked to another email where Ethan had written to Chloe, once Bloom Vibe is ours, we'll add it to the others. Marcus will be pleased. Chloe suddenly pushed forward. You think you're so special with your precious flowers? She shouted, her composed facade cracking. You have no idea what it's like to work for years and get nowhere while people like you succeed overnight. Overnight, Sophia raised an eyebrow. I built Bloom Vibe over 5 years while my husband told me to stick to arranging pretty things. Nothing about my success was overnight. Catherine Chen from Seattle Business Monthly raised her hand. Miss Hamilton, are you saying your husband, Ozzy, was attempting corporate espionage against your company as part of a larger criminal operation? The evidence suggests that yes, Sophia replied, nodding toward Miguel, who distributed printed packets to the journalists. You'll find everything documented there. As security escorted a protesting Ethan and Chloe from the premises, the audience shifted their attention to Sophia's business presentation, professional interest replacing the scandal's initial shock. Later, alone in her office, Sophia held the dried anniversary bouquet she'd arranged with such care. She remembered the first flowers Ethan had ever given her, cheap carnations from a gas station which he'd presented as if they were rare orchids. She'd been so charmed by his confidence that she'd overlooked the gesture's thoughtlessness. Tears finally came, not for the marriage she was losing, but for the years she'd made herself smaller to accommodate his ego. Detective Rivera reviewed the evidence. Sophia had compiled her expression growing more serious with each page. This appears to be organized fraud, crossing state lines. The FBI will want to be involved. They've heard at least 7 other women entrepreneurs that we know of. Miguel explained, showing profiles on his laptop. Rachel Harrison Portland, lost her craft brewery. Margaret Chen, Tacoma Sustainable Clothing Line. Sarah Williams, Eugene Organic Skincare Company. Sophia studied the women's faces, recognizing their determination and creativity, qualities she saw in herself, and all targeted by this same group. Miguel nodded grimly. Different men, but Chloe appears in 3 cases under different names. She seems to be their scout. And Ethan, Sophia's voice caught, was he recruited specifically for me? Miguel hesitated. There's an email trail suggesting he was brought in about 2 years ago. But Sophia, he's not just a pawn. The messages show he's been an enthusiastic participant. A text from Ethan lit up Sophia's phone. We need to talk. I can explain everything. FBI agent Kaminsky joined the meeting. We've been tracking similar operations in California and Colorado. Your evidence could be the break we need. She outlined a plan to use Sophia as bait in a controlled meeting with Ethan. He might reveal the rest of the network. I'm in, Sophia said without hesitation. Miguel objected. It's too dangerous. What if they've destroyed women's lives? Sophia cut him off. I won't let them continue. The next day, Sophia met Ethan at their home wearing a wire and carrying a bouquet of white lilies FBI agents monitored from surveillance vans outside. You've been ignoring my calls, Ethan said, trying to embrace her. She stepped back. I needed time to process everything, she replied, setting down the flowers. The business, the affair. Ethan's expression softened into practiced remorse. Chloe means nothing to me. It was a mistake. And trying to access my Bloom Vibe accounts, was that a mistake too? He flinched. Sophia, I was just trying to understand your business better, to help you. By transferring shares to Chloe. Ethan's demeanor shifted. You don't understand the pressures I'm under. Marcus expects results. Marcus Bennett, the investment advisor. Ethan's eyes widened slightly at her knowledge. He connects people with opportunities. Look, all I need is access to your administrative accounts, just for a few days. And if I sign over partial ownership instead, would that satisfy Marcus? Ethan brightened. That would be perfect, just 51%. You'd still be involved, of course. Of course, Sophia echoed, opening her laptop. I've prepared the documents, but I need to understand what happens to Bloom Vibe after. It joins the portfolio, Ethan said, relaxing as he believed he'd won like the others. Marcus has a brilliant system. Identify female-owned businesses with potential, acquire them during personal crises, rebrand, and flip them for triple the value. And the women owners, Ethan shrugged, they get a payout. Most are too emotional to fight back. He leaned forward. There's a meeting tomorrow with everyone, Marcus key players across 3 states. You should come see the bigger picture. Where? The Emerald Conference Center, downtown suite, 11:20 noon. Quiet down in her ear, Agent Kaminsky whispered, we got it. I need time to review these documents, Sophia said, closing her laptop. Don't take too long. Ethan warned, his facade of remorse completely gone. This offer expires when Marcus's patience does. The next day, Sophia watched from a secure location as FBI agents raided the conference center. On multiple screens, she saw Chloe, Marcus Bennett, and 3 others being led away in handcuffs. Ethan, arriving late, spotted the agents and fled down a service stairwell. He got away, Sophia said, disappointment evident in her voice. Temporarily, Agent Kaminsky assured her, his face is everywhere now. Later at the flower shop, Sophia arranged white lilies while Miguel updated their security system. The bouquet you gave Ethan, he said, it had a tracking device, didn't it? In the water tube? Sophia confirmed. Lilies for deception seemed appropriate. Her phone rang. Detective Rivera. We've got 4 of them giving statements already. They're turning on each other, but no sign of your husband yet. As she hung up, Miguel showed her his phone. He'd been live streaming updates about the flower power fraud ring on X, gaining thousands of followers. People are calling you a hero, Sophia. I'm not a hero, she said quietly. I'm just someone who refused to wilt. An email notification appeared on her screen from Emma Jenkins, a former Bloom Vibe employee who'd left suddenly 6 months ago. I saw the news. Chloe approached me too, but I refused. I have information that might help. Can we meet? 2 days after the raid, Ethan appeared at the flower shop just before closing. His normally immaculate appearance was disheveled, his eyes bloodshot. Sophia, please, he said, dropping to his knees among the buckets of roses. You have to help me. I didn't know what they were really doing. Chloe manipulated me. Sophia continued arranging flowers, placing each stem with deliberate care. Did she manipulate you into trying to hack my accounts? Into planning to leave me on our anniversary? Into lying every day for months? I made mistakes, he pleaded, his voice cracking. But I'm not like them. I never meant to hurt you. You know what I've learned about flowers, Ethan? The most beautiful ones often have thorns. Nature's way of saying, admire but don't touch. Sophia stepped closer, holding a single purple hyacinth. This flower symbolizes forgiveness. Hope flickered in Ethan's eyes. But it's not for you, she continued. It's for me, for forgiving myself, for making myself smaller to fit your idea of who I should be. She set down the flower and held up her phone, revealing the recording app. And this whole conversation, it's being transmitted to Detective Rivera right now. Ethan's face transformed from pleading to fury. In an instant, he lunged toward her, but Miguel emerged from the storage room, 2 police officers behind him. It's over, Ethan, Sophia said as the officers restrained him. I've given all the evidence to the FBI. Marcus and Chloe are already cooperating with authorities. They say you were the mastermind behind targeting me. They're lying, Ethan shouted. It was Marcus's operation. I was just following orders. Detective Rivera entered from the back room. Mr. Hamilton, we have evidence suggesting you specifically sought out this network after discovering your wife's business, not the other way around. Sophia's breath caught. What? Email records show Mr. Hamilton contacted Marcus Bennett 8 months ago after accidentally discovering Bloom Vibe's financial statements. Rivera explained. He wasn't recruited, he volunteered. The betrayal cut deeper than Sophia had imagined. You found my business and decided to steal it, rather than being proud of what I built. You were hiding it from me, Ethan spat back. Your own husband. What was I supposed to think? That maybe there was a reason I didn't tell you, Sophia answered quietly. That maybe your constant belittling of my little hobby had consequences. As the officers led Ethan away, he turned back, his handsome face contorted with anger. You think you're so clever with your flowers and your codes? You're nothing without me. Miguel's phone captured the entire scene, his live stream gaining thousands of viewers in real time. The comments section filled with women sharing similar stories of partners who underestimated them. After Ethan was gone, Sophia sank into a chair, the adrenaline draining from her body. I never thought he hated my success that much. He didn't hate your success, Emma said, stepping out from where she'd been waiting in the office. He hated that your success came without his help. Emma, the former employee who had contacted Sophia, explained how Chloe had approached her months ago, offering money for information about Bloom Vibe. I quit instead of betraying you, but I was too scared to say why. I thought no one would believe me. Sophia took Emma's hand. I believe you, and I need people I can trust for what comes next. Later that night, alone in her apartment above the flower shop, Sophia cried for the first time since discovering Ethan's betrayal, not for the loss of her marriage, but for the freedom of finally being seen for who she truly was. You'll regret this, Ethan had shouted as the police car pulled away. This isn't over. Those words echoed in Sophia's mind during the weeks that followed. The media dubbed the case Flower Power Fraud, with headlines highlighting the florist who took down a criminal enterprise. Miguel's live stream of Ethan's arrest had gone viral, with over 2 million views. Chloe proved surprisingly cooperative with authorities, claiming Ethan had pressured her into targeting women business owners. He said they didn't deserve their success. She told investigators in a recorded statement that leaked to the press. He said they were just lucky, not smart. But emails recovered from Chloe's accounts told a different story. In one message to Marcus, she wrote, I've found another one, naive, talented, no business sense, easy target. The trial was expedited due to the overwhelming evidence Sophia testified about the systematic way Ethan had belittled her business ambitions while secretly plotting to steal her company. When asked why she kept Bloom Vibe secret from her husband, her answer resonated with women nationwide. Every time I mentioned expanding my business, he laughed and told me to stick to what I know. So I did. I knew how to build a multi-million-dollar company without his knowledge or approval. In a dramatic courtroom twist, Ethan's mother, Linda, appeared as a character witness for her son. Ethan was raised to be a provider. She testified tearfully. Sophia emasculated him by hiding her success. During cross-examination, Sophia's attorney asked Linda a simple question. Mrs. Hamilton, did you know your son planned to leave your daughter-in-law on their 10th anniversary? Linda's shocked expression answered before her words did. No, that can't be true. The prosecution presented the text from Chloe. Tonight, you'll leave her baby, dated on their anniversary. Linda fell silent, her defense of her son visibly wavering. Chloe and Marcus Bennett received 7-year sentences for organized fraud. The other members of the network received varying sentences based on their cooperation. On the day of Ethan's sentencing, he requested a private meeting with Sophia. Against her attorney's advice, she agreed with officers present. 3 years. He said, his arrogance deflated. That's what they're offering if I plead guilty. That seems fair, Sophia replied, keeping her distance. I need you to tell them I was manipulated, he pleaded, that I'm a good person who made a mistake. Was it a mistake when you chose our anniversary to leave me? Sophia asked. Or when you tried to hack my accounts 5 times? Or when you called my business a cute hobby for years while I built it into something you decided was worth stealing? Ethan's jaw tightened. I gave you everything. A nice house, vacation, security. I gave myself those things, Sophia interrupted. With my own company, my own work. Please, Sophia, he begged, his voice breaking. 3 years will destroy me. She studied the man she'd once loved, seeing him clearly for the first time. You know, I brought you something. She placed a small arrangement on the table between them, a single dried flower from their anniversary bouquet surrounded by fresh blooms. Hope flickered in Ethan's eyes until she explained the symbolism. The dead center represents our marriage. The fresh flowers around it. My life moving on without you. His expression hardened. You always did hide behind your flowers. No, Sophia corrected him. I expressed through them what you refused to hear. She stood to leave. Goodbye, Ethan. As she walked away, Ethan called after her. You'll fail without me. It's just a matter of time. Sophia didn't turn back. She simply replied, I succeeded without you for 5 years. I think I'll manage. That afternoon, Linda Hamilton appeared at the flower shop, her eyes red from crying. I came to apologize, she said hesitantly. I didn't know. I never thought Ethan would. Sophia offered the older woman a chair. He fooled both of us. No, Linda shook her head. I raised him to be entitled to expect the world to bow to him. She looked around the shop with newfound appreciation. All this time, I thought you were just playing with flowers. Most people did, Sophia replied, a hint of a smile forming. That was their mistake. The trial's conclusion brought national attention to fraud targeting female entrepreneurs. Ethan received 3 years with no possibility of early parole, his cooperation deemed reluctant and self-serving. By the judge, Sophia finalized the divorce, while Ethan awaited transfer to a minimum security prison, securing full ownership of Bloom Vibe and their home. The media coverage doubled her business's visibility, with orders increasing 3-fold in the weeks following the verdict. Rather than simply enjoying this success, Sophia redirected it. She established the Bloom Again Fund, providing resources and legal support for women who had been targets of financial fraud. The first thank you letter came from Portland, a restaurant owner who had lost nearly everything to a similar scheme. Your fund helped me keep my doors open, the woman wrote. Now I know what to watch for, and I'll never be fooled again. The fund quickly grew beyond Sophia's initial vision. Emma, the former employee who had refused to cooperate with Chloe, joined it as the outreach coordinator. Miguel designed a secure website with resources for identifying and reporting fraud. Even Linda, Ethan's mother, volunteered her time, stating publicly that she wanted to help repair some of the damage my son caused. 1 month after the trial, Sophia hosted a workshop at her flower shop titled Protecting Your Business Vision. She expected perhaps 20 attendees. Over 100 showed up, with women standing in the back and spilling onto the sidewalk outside. I never planned to become the face of this issue. Sophia told the crowd. But I've learned that hiding our success doesn't protect us, it isolates us. As she detailed warning signs of financial predators, she noticed a woman in the back row quietly crying. After the workshop, Sophia approached her. I'm Margaret Chen. The woman introduced herself, dabbing her eyes. I own Sustainable Style in Tacoma. Sophia recognized the name immediately from Miguel's research. You were one of their earlier targets. Margaret nodded. 3 years ago, I lost everything. My partner, David, was apparently recruited just like your husband. She gestured around the shop. Seeing you stand up to them, seeing all these women here, I've been too ashamed to start over. The shame isn't yours, Sophia said firmly, taking Margaret's hands. It never was. By evening's end, Sophia had invited Margaret to join the Bloom Again Fund as a consultant helping identify businesses at risk. Your experience is valuable. She told her it can protect others. The following week brought a surprise visitor to the shop. Detective Rivera, now promoted to a special FBI task force on crimes targeting women-owned businesses. We've identified similar networks in 3 other regions, she informed Sophia. Your case broke the pattern wide open. The Bureau would like you to consult on a training program for financial fraud investigators. Sophia agreed immediately. I've been thinking about creating a simple guide for women entrepreneurs, red flags, security measures, legal protections. That's exactly what we need, Rivera confirmed. Your perspective from both sides as a successful business owner and as someone who experienced this fraud firsthand. Lila organized a celebration at the flower shop when the FBI collaboration was announced, complete with a cake decorated with sugar flowers. To floral empires and revenge empires, she toasted. You mastered both. The shop buzzed with energy, friends, customers, women from the workshop, even journalists covering the story of how one flower shop owner had sparked a national movement. Mid-celebration, Sophia received an email from the judge who had presided over Ethan's case. Ms. Hamilton, your testimony has prompted us to review similar cases from the past 5 years. 3 convictions have already been overturned with women regaining control of their businesses. You've created a ripple effect of justice. Thank you. As she read those words, Sophia looked around at the women gathered in her shop, many of whom had never met before tonight, but were now exchanging business cards, sharing stories, forming connections. What had begun as her personal victory had blossomed into something far more significant. This isn't just about punishing the guilty, she realized. It's about building something new from what was broken. Sophia moved to a cottage near the water 6 months after the trial, its garden offering the perfect testing ground for new Bloom Vibe offerings. The company had expanded into international markets with a specialty line of wedding arrangements that became their signature product. She adopted a golden retriever from the shelter, naming him Scout. He developed a peculiar habit of gently carrying flowers in his mouth without damaging them, becoming the unofficial shop mascot and social media sensation when Miguel created an Instagram account called Flower Puppy that gained over 100,000 followers. The cottage felt more like home than anywhere she'd lived before. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Puget Sound, and the scent of salt water mingled with the blooms in her test garden. She'd designed a greenhouse attachment where she experimented with rare varieties, documenting each one's growth patterns for Bloom Vibe's expanded educational platform. On a crisp spring morning, Sophia received an invitation to speak at the Women's Business Leadership Conference in Chicago. The topic, Growing Through Adversity, How to Turn Setbacks into Opportunities. She hesitated only briefly before accepting. Nervous, Miguel asked when she mentioned the conference during their weekly strategy meeting. A little, Sophia admitted. Public speaking isn't exactly my comfort zone. Says the woman who exposed a criminal network in front of journalists. He teased, besides, Scout and I will be cheering you on from here. Miguel had transformed from a shy shop assistant into Bloom Vibe's confident operations manager, overseeing the company's growing staff, while Sophia focused on creative direction and expansion. Their partnership had become one of mutual respect and trust, everything her marriage had lacked the day before her flight to Chicago. Daniel Clark, the botanist she'd been collaborating with on sustainable growing practices, stopped by with rare seedlings for her greenhouse. A gift for the keynote speaker, he said with a warm smile that reached his kind eyes. Their professional relationship had gradually developed into something more personal over the past months. Unlike Ethan, Daniel asked questions about her work with genuine interest, celebrated her successes without insecurity, and never once suggested that flowers were just a hobby. "Would you like to have dinner when you get back from Chicago?" he asked, his normally confident voice slightly uncertain. "I'd like that," Sophia replied, realizing she was finally ready to open that door. In Chicago, Sophia found herself facing a packed auditorium of women entrepreneurs. As she approached the podium, Scout's flower-carrying photo appeared on the giant screen behind her, drawing appreciative laughter from the audience. "2 years ago," she began, "I was making myself smaller to fit someone else's idea of who I should be. Today I'm here to tell you that the most beautiful blooms often grow from the most difficult circumstances." She shared her story without embellishment. The betrayal, the fraud ring, the painful revelation that her husband had deliberately targeted her success. But she also spoke about the community that had emerged in response. The women who had reclaimed their businesses and the preventive measures now being implemented nationwide. "The language of flowers has always fascinated me," she continued. "Each bloom carries specific meaning. Red dahlias for betrayal, yellow marigolds for grief. But my favorite has always been the purple hyacinth, the flower of forgiveness." She paused, looking out at the rapt audience. "Not forgiveness for those who tried to take what wasn't theirs, but forgiveness for ourselves, for the times we dimmed our light, for the moments we questioned our worth, for every apology we offered when expressing our ambition." After her speech, a line of women waited to speak with her. One particularly moved attendee introduced herself as a professor of business ethics. "Would you consider bringing your workshop to our campus? These students need to hear your story directly." The idea took root immediately. Within weeks, Sophia had developed a curriculum for a traveling seminar series, Bloom Secure Protecting Your Business Vision. Universities across the country began booking dates, and the Bloom Again Fund expanded to provide scholarships for women entrepreneurs seeking to rebuild after financial fraud. Back home, Scout greeted her with enthusiastic tail wagging and a carefully carried tulip. Sophia laughed, wondering where he'd found it in the garden. "He's been bringing flowers to the door every day you were gone," Daniel mentioned during their dinner that evening. "Miguel said he thinks Scout was making you a welcome home bouquet." As they walked along the shore after dinner, Scout running ahead of them, Sophia reflected on her journey. "I used to think flowers were just for arranging," she told Daniel. "Now I know they can build an empire, take down criminals, and heal communities." That evening, she opened another letter from a woman helped by her fund. "You turned your pain into purpose," the woman had written. "You showed me how to grow something beautiful from broken ground." Sophia placed the letter on her desk next to a small vase containing a single purple hyacinth, the flower of forgiveness for herself, for the years she'd spent hiding her light. She wouldn't be hiding anymore. 3 days later, Sophia stood before 200 female business students at the University of Washington. Scout sat calmly beside her, on stage, occasionally nudging her hand with his nose. "Who here has ever been told their business idea was cute?" she asked. Nearly every hand went up. "Who's been asked if their husband or father has helped or been on with the financial side?" Again, a forest of raised hands. "And who's ever made themselves smaller, downsized their dreams hidden, their ambitions, downplayed their success to make someone else comfortable?" This time, even the professors raised their hands. Scout chose that moment to pick up the flower Sophia had placed on the podium, a vibrant sunflower, and carry it to a student in the front row who had tears streaming down her face. The audience erupted in applause and laughter as Scout returned to Sophia's side, mission accomplished. "Even my dog knows," Sophia smiled, "that the most important thing we can do with our talents is share them. Bloom where you're planted, but never be afraid to reach for the sun."